In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. Special guest, Byron Larkin, Cincinnati kid through and through. Moeller High School, Xavier University, now a color commentator for over 20 years, covering Xavier basketball. We'll talk about his excellence at all stages of his athletic career, high school, college, and even playing in Venezuela. And he's got some great stories to tell. I think you're going to be very entertained. Byron Larkin coming at you. Welcome to this edition of In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. Special guest, Byron Larkin, affectionately known as B-Lark to a lot of folks, a member of, I think, the most athletic family in the city of Cincinnati. Let's go through it here a little bit. Brother Mike, unbelievable athlete, multiple sports, as all you guys were. Your brother Barry's a Hall of Famer in Major League Baseball, obviously shortstop with the Reds. Stephen Larkin, another former Major League Baseball player. Your nephew Shane played in the NBA. I mean, the Larkin family, what is up? Is it your mother's family, your dad's family? Who takes the credit?
Well, if you take it depends on who you ask. You know, according to my mom, we all got it from her. But I don't know, Dave. It's just one of those things. You just grow up. If you have brothers, David, I know you've got a brother, and you know how it is, man. We weren't really good at anything else, playing instruments. I mean, we were okay students, so all we had was the ball, you know, and it just came as a result of that. You know, I think my oldest brother, Michael, kind of set the tone because there are five of kids in my family. The oldest is my sister. And then we had 4 boys after that, and we were all pretty much like a year and a half apart.
Wow.
In age-wise. So that's that's just enough to be competitive.
Yeah.
But not too much where you can just kind of slap somebody around and, you know, not compete. So that's, I think, why at least my oldest brother, Michael, Barry, and myself were so competitive, because we had guys, we were about the same size and same kind of physical level, skill level, that we just grew up having the best competition around. And you know better than anybody, you want to beat your brothers worse than anyone. And that's kind of, I think, how it developed in my family.
I bet some of the battles amongst the Larkin brothers in the backyard were some of the most stirring competitions that you probably experienced. I mean, did you guys really go at it just about every single day?
Oh yeah, absolutely, David. I mean, and it was just like no mercy. I mean, I played probably my first 2 years of basketball with my brothers, but never touched the ball. I mean, you know, I'd be out there for hours and never touch it. Right. It's not like they were like, here, let me give you a shot, Byron. They're like, no, if you're not big and strong enough to get the ball, you're just not going to get it. So I had to develop some strong resolve and some determination and some competitive juices just to hang with my brother Barry and Michael, because those guys were relentless. We really went at it, you know, but we didn't cross the line. I mean, we fought, but we weren't punching each other in the face, and, you know, we didn't do all that. My dad wasn't having that, but we competed up to the line where, you know, a lot of times, you know, it ended up in tears, and someone would go into the house, and, you know, and the other two would just kind of be out there. And I remember my brother Michael, he was a sophomore at Notre Dame, played football at Notre Dame, and he had broke his forearm. Twice in the same spot. So the second time he broke his forearm, and he was home during the summer. And I think I was maybe a senior in high school. And so we're out there playing 21, and you know what happens. The ball goes up, and he starts talking like, oh, you're not that good. You're not that good. Dave, man, I ended up like, he went to the bucket. He's out there with a tassel on, and I swung as hard as I could, man. Hit him right on his cast. I'm surprised I didn't re-break his forearm or a third time, but I didn't care. I was trying to win. It's just the old juices came back, and I didn't mean to do it, but it was just kind of took me over. It took me back. Like, yeah, you used to bully up on me when I was a little boy. I ain't no little boy anymore, but that's just the microcosm of what it was like growing up in my family, at least on the sports field or the basketball court. But it was really fun.
So Moeller High School benefited by the athleticism, the competitive spirit of the Larkin boys. You end up going to Moeller, and you're a true sports star. I mean, you're an All-American in football. Everybody wants Byron Larkin to play football in their defensive secondary, but you're also a stud basketball player. What was it like, balancing both sports in high school? Did you have a first love that was definite at that point in time, or were you still trying to decide? What was it like going through high school?
Well, Dave, we all had a plan when we were younger than 10 years old. I mean, we're in the back of my dad's station wagon, and it's like, I'm going to play baseball. Mike's going to go, I'm going to play football. I'm going to play basketball. That was the plan from the beginning, out of the womb, if you will. We all played the other sports. So for me, up at Moeller, I played all three sports up until my junior year. And, I was a really good baseball player. And because I had, future Hall of Famer that I would play baseball with every day. And so it was my junior. Oh, I played center field. I played center field, yeah. And I can, I never struck. No one could strike me out, man, because me and Barry every day would be out. We didn't have any video games. It was every day. We were out there. We were throwing the ball, catching the ball, hitting the ball. We were doing something with baseball, basketball, football. But for me, it was my junior year, and I was playing three sports, and I was kind of getting burnt out. And I knew I wanted to play basketball, but, I love putting my hands on people. And I know I had to give up one sport, and I was like, yeah, I'm definitely not giving up basketball. And I love hitting people in football. So baseball kind of did it. The cold weather, playing baseball here in Cincinnati during February, March. There was some cold days, bro. Sometimes it's snowing out, and I'm putting long johns on. And you're from Syracuse. You're up east. You know all about that.
Yeah, but I hear you.
I'm putting long johns on underneath my baseball pants. I'm just like, baseball was not meant to be played like this. So I'm giving up baseball. So it was basketball and football. And football, I just always loved to play. I played it all my life. As soon as I could walk, I was playing football. And, my senior year, I knew I was going to play basketball in college, but I was getting recruited by everybody for football. And I came to my mom and just said, hey, before my senior year, I know I'm going to play college basketball. I'm just not going to play football my senior year. Dave, she bitched at me for a whole week at home. Like, I can't believe you're not going to play. I don't like this decision. I was like, okay, Mom, I will play just to keep you happy. So because she enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed playing, so that's the reason why I played my senior year. And, I ended up being a parade All-American. My junior year, we won it all. I played with some great guys on my football team. I think we had like 6 or 7 guys get D1 scholarships my junior year. And it was fun. But it wasn't a hard decision in college because I knew that I wanted to play college basketball ever since I could walk. But just football was it was a fun off sport, if you will. No offense, big fella, but I really enjoyed it, and it was fun.
Where do you think you would have, if you had decided to play football, of all the offers that you got, which was anywhere you wanted to go?
Yeah.
Where do you think you might have gone to play football?
Well, out of high school, I actually took 2 football visits. They were actually football, basketball visits. I went to Notre Dame, and then I went to Michigan, and they both said I could play both sports.
Okay.
But I knew that was really not not real practical because the sports they overlap almost. And,
right.
and I knew that, I was used to seeing tall people, but I was not used to seeing tall people as wide as the door, So I was like, I think in football, man, I was like bigger than most of the running backs, at 6'3", about 180 pounds. I was bigger than most of the running backs that I was tackling, but it's a different level, man, in college and in the pros. And so I just said, I think I'm gonna stay in the basketball court, which I think was the best decision for me.
I remember seeing you play in high school and in basketball as well. And tell us about the very first time in high school basketball. It was an aha moment for you. Where like, man, I can do this, and I can do this at a high level.
Yeah, that was very distinct, and I know exactly that moment when it happened. When you're young, you I think we all have visions of playing in the NBA or NFL or what have you, and there's a very small percentage of people that can attain those goals.
Right.
But I knew what I wanted to do when I was a sophomore in high school. I was on the JV, still playing all three sports. Always had a favorite, but I was one of the better players on each team I played.
Sure.
My sophomore year, coach called me and said, Byron, I'm going to move you up for the varsity. I was on the JV team that year. I was averaging about 12 points a game. I was doing well. We were winning almost every game. So they moved me up for the last game of the regular season so I could be eligible for the city tournament. So I remember being in the layup line where in the JV game, no one's in the stands. But, when you're on varsity, you got the band, you got everybody coming in. It gets smoky, it gets loud. And, man, my eyes were big as saucers. Boy, I was so nervous, Dave. I think I missed every layup in the pregame, And I always wanted to play varsity because they had the varsity, like, warm-up long pants. JV, we didn't have that. It happened that they were out of them the day they pulled me up, so I didn't even get to wear the long pants, pants. So I'm nervous, man. And the game starts. I go to the furthest seat away from the coach possible on the bench, and it was against Purcell, Marion here in town, and we got down 12-0, and I'm just sitting on the end of the bench like, ooh, we getting our butts kicked. Thank God I'm not in there. And then I see my head coach was Dave Hammer. Yep. Walking at me. I see him out of the corner of my eye, and I'm purposely not looking at him because I don't want any part of that game. And I see him walking toward me, and he says, Larkin, get in the game. I'm like, oh, no. I get in the game, Dave. I scored 29 points that night. And next game, I scored 33. Next game, I scored 35. And at that moment, I was like, okay, this is what I was supposed to do. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And that night, I think, really set the course of my life, if you will, that basketball was going to be a big part of it. And it was very distinct. And I will always remember that night as long as I live.
You obviously have that, quote, scorer's mentality, end quote. No matter what level of basketball, high school, college, professional, you lead the team in scoring. You might lead the whole conference or whole league in scoring. Right. You just have a talent to put the ball in the bucket. I mean, you got a scorer's mentality. Yeah. Where did that come from?
That's just competition, Dave. Just, I put so much pressure on myself when I played. I just wanted to be consistent. I didn't want to be a guy that scored 21 game and scored 2 the next. I wanted the coach to be like, hey, we know exactly what we're getting out of you.
Right.
And if that was 20 points, I'm like, I'm going to give you 20 points every night, no matter what. I never wanted to see somebody in the streets when I was older, when I'm like an old man now, to come up to us like, yeah, Byron, I remember you in high school. We stopped you. Yeah, I just never wanted to hear that from anybody. So I put a lot of pressure on myself to be like, hey, I want to be consistent. I want to be the same guy every night. I want that coach to know that next to my name, he can write down whatever that is he needs me to do. And I was going to do it. I was just really determined to be as consistent as possible. And I think those are the best players. You know, I wanted to be reliable. That was very, very important to me in my mindset. And I think that's why I was able to score at such a level and a consistent level, because I was been fortunate enough to be on every team where that's kind of been my main goal. You know, I did all the other things that I needed to do to get on the floor, to play defense, to know the plays, to be responsible, to earn your way onto the court, all those things. But I wanted to be consistent, and that was the biggest thing that I wanted to when they thought of me, like, yeah, that guy Byron, he's going to give us this, and we know that no matter what the situation was.
You know, the other thing you provided coaches too is they knew they could pencil you in for every game. I mean, you didn't miss games. You didn't miss games in high school. At Xavier, 115 consecutive games. It was a record at the time. Might have been broken by now, obviously, but that was a record. So reliability, accountability, durability, these are all the good abilities to have, and you provided it for your coaches and teammates. Was that always a big importance to you?
Absolutely. You know, I just want, again, that's part of being consistent. You know, I never missed a game in college. I never missed a game in high school either, football or basketball, on either level. And it's just, I've been fortunate to stay away from injuries. You know, of course, I've played, you know, hurt.
Sure.
But, you know, I just found a way to push through, and, you know, being consistent and being there every day, earning the right to play was big for me. You know, my dad at home, he was kind of my role model in how he was just consistent, you know, getting up, going to work every day. He's from Meridian, Mississippi, didn't know anybody here in town. And, you know, he worked as a chemist, and that brought him to Cincinnati. And that's why the Larkin family's here. And he just had a really strong work ethic. Mm-hmm. And, you know, when we were playing sports, he had 3 rules. He said, if you're going to play, you are going to show up on time. You are not going to quit, and you're going to behave. You're going to act like you have some sense. The rest is up to you. You can be a bench player, you can be a starter, you can be whatever you want. But those are the 3 things that you're going to do if you're going to be part of this team. So that's kind of, you know, what I had. That's who was in my ear at home. Yep. And, you know, that's what I picked up, and I tried to kind of carry that just through my sports career and through life.
And I'll tell you, every kid should be as fortunate to have a dad like that, you know, to instill those kind of things in them at a very young age like that. That's unbelievably fortunate.
Yes.
So did you go to Xavier because you wanted to stay in Cincinnati? What other opportunities basketball-wise did you consider?
Well, I decided where I was going. I had a lot of schools coming after me.
Sure.
And I, you know, a lot of schools for football, a lot of schools for basketball. And I was going to decide, well, I knew I was going to play basketball. And once I decided on the sport, I decided I was going to go to the school that wanted me the worst. No matter what it was, where it was, if it was Division III or Division I or whatever, I wanted to go to the school that wanted me the worst, and I wanted to be the first choice. I didn't want to be like, oh, okay, we're looking for Johnny Smith. You know, he's their number 1 recruit. Well, we couldn't get him, so we'll take Larkin. I didn't want that. I wanted to be the number 1 guy, because I figured that if I had a long time develop, if it took me time to develop, if I screwed up, if I didn't get my grades together, that they wouldn't just recruit over me and just kind of discard me. So Xavier, I felt, wanted me worse than any school in the country. And that's why I went there. If Xavier was in, you know, Nebraska, I would have went to Xavier there. Yeah. It's the feeling that I got when they were recruiting me. They had their lead recruiter was Wayne Morgan, who was at Xavier at the time. Bob Stack was the head coach, and he just formed a relationship with me that, you know, they made me feel like I was their number 1 guy. They brought me into one of their practices, and after the practice, the coach grabbed me and he said, Byron, if we could have any recruit in the country, it would be you. After that, I was done. I didn't hear anything else. I didn't tell him at the time, but I'm like, yeah, this is where I'm coming. So, and then, the things, everything around my decision to come to Xavier was one of the best decisions I've ever made because of not only my sports experience, but everything around that, the alumni base, the connections. It's just been, one of the best decisions I ever made was staying at home and playing at Xavier.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. That's great when it pans out like that, and what a great career. Had the pleasure in your playing time to work with Andy Mack doing some Xavier games, a little radio, a little TV, Xavier UC, just to dabble in it a little bit. And man, you dominated, dude. There's no doubt about it. All-American. You were Conference Player of the Year in '86 and '88. You were a 3-time tournament MVP. Your number 23 jerseys retired. You're in the Xavier Hall of Fame. 2,696 points. Still the all-time leading scorer. Top 25 in the history of college basketball. I mean, you have to be like, wow, pretty good run. I mean, you had a phenomenal career at Xavier.
At First Star Logistics, we're a very strict company that really puts the pressure on our employees. Breaks? What are those?
That's what I'm talking about, Icky. Get the body right, then the mind's right.
Gotta get that body right.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Become a star with a chance to earn the highest commission percentages in the industry as a freight broker agent. Check out firststarlogistics.com.
Yeah, Dave. I'm really I appreciate you saying that. I took a lot of pride in when I went out there, and I really tried to give it everything I had. And sometimes some people, they look back at that career and they're like, wow, I wish I could do it all over again, or I wish I had another chance at playing at a school or for a team. And now that I'm an old dude, I don't have any of those regrets, because I did everything I could do that I had in my, in my body and my ability. I think I got the best out of myself. And that's a really good feeling. Because I used to play, like, as soon as I got out of school and, I'd be in the gym playing with guys who had graduated a couple years before me, and they're the best player in open gym, or in the league, in the men's league that we're playing. And I used to say, like, why didn't you do this when you were playing in school or when you were, playing? They're like, well, I didn't have I didn't have the opportunity. I never wanted to be that dude, man. I'm like, it means something now. When I was playing, I'm like, it takes courage sometimes to be successful, and
right.
When the lights are on and people are in the stands, that's when it really counts. And I never wanted to be a guy that just was like the best guy in the rec league, the best old dude at the Y. No, I wanted to be the best player when I was at Xavier on every team that I played on. I just wanted to give it my best. And I did. And again, I sleep well at night as a result of that. And it's a really good feeling when I look back at some of the things I was able to accomplish at Xavier. I'm very proud of the legacy or the record or the impact that I made on that school.
Interesting. You said legacy. That's what I was thinking of to label the next comment or question. You were the first player to make postseason All-American at Xavier. Yep. First player to have your jersey retired. What were those moments like when you were the first in a school that had been around for a while now, and the first to get those kind of things done? I mean, that make you puff your chest a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit, Dave. Yeah. I think probably of all the personal accomplishments I had at Xavier, the thing that I'm most proud of is being on the first Xavier team to ever win an NCAA tournament game.
Right.
That was the best feeling I've ever had because, one, and we both play team sports, Dave, individual accolades are great, but boy, when you can do something or be the first, win a championship, or be able to set a goal that has not been achieved before.
Yep.
It is something special to do that with your teammates and your brothers. And my sophomore year, we went to the NCAA tournament. I think we were like a 14 seed, and we played against Alabama, and they just beat the brakes off of us. And that was the first time, that I had been in the NCAA tournament, that I had played in that kind of environment, because we played a good schedule with Xavier, nothing like now. We're in the MCC, they're in the Big East now, and it's totally different talent level. But it was a big deal going to the NCAA tournament my sophomore year. Didn't know what to expect. I knew we were playing Alabama. They threw it out to it was first play of the game. They threw it to the corner. Their 6'11" center, Derek McKee, who played in the NBA for 15 years. And I'm like, all right, I run out on him real fast. This 6'11" dude ain't going to be able to get around me. He boogies a couple times, pop, 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 raises up and shoots a three in my face. I turn around, look at my teammates. I said, it's going to be a long night, boys. They beat the crap out of us, and it was a learning experience. I think part of it was like we were just kind of happy to be there.
Yeah.
Fast forward, the next year, we get back to the NCAA tournament, and we're playing against Missouri, and I think we're a 14 seed then, and it was a totally different deal. I'm like, no, it ain't. This is not. It's not going down this year. I'm not just happy to be here. We're going to win, and we were able to do that. And I remember just the feeling of watching that clock go down to 0-0, and that feeling, because we were leading the whole game, and we played at the Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis. And, I just looked at that clock. Well, during the game, you really don't look at the clock until at the very end, because you're busy executing the game plan, trying to do what you need to do to win the game. And I just remember looking at that clock. I'm like, all right, come on, let's go. Click down. And then when it read 0-0, it was like I won the championship, because we're the first Xavier team to ever win an NCAA game. And that was my greatest accomplishment at Xavier. No doubt about it, because I was able to share that with my teammates. And that was the legacy that I left, that I'm most proud of. Yes, I'm proud of the scoring accolades and the things that I did in the tournament, but that was the biggest accomplishment. The thing about, I think, why I maybe did so well at the end of the year is, at the end of the year, man, you're playing for your life. If you don't win, you're done. You're going home. And I think that always brought the best out of me at the end of the year. I mean, I played as hard as I could, and just the intensity and the sense knowing that if you lose, your season could be over with, was one of the reasons why I think I did so well at the conference tournament every year, because I just wanted to continue to play. And it was really I'm really happy on the mark I left, especially in the NCAA tournament and in the conference tournaments.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then you Indianapolis, you mentioned you played in the Pan American Games in 1987, right?
Yes.
In Indianapolis. So that's another probably good memory for you. Did you play point and two guard?
Yes, I was a combo guard. I was the first alternate on the Pan Am team. We had, David Robinson, who played in the NBA for many years, Danny Manning, Rex Chapman, a lot of guys on that team.
Yeah.
And I remember I didn't play in the games because I was an alternate, but I remember going down to Louisville. Denny Crum was the head coach, and we practiced, we were in training camp for 3 weeks and played against Isaiah Thomas, who was my idol, in an exhibition game. It was just really fun to be there, and wish I had an opportunity to play in the game, but I didn't. But it was nonetheless, it was a good experience and an honor to be able to be a part of the Pan Am team.
You had the clutch gene. The bigger the moment, the bigger the game. It's when you stepped up. And what does it take? I mean, is it just sheer confidence, or what does it take to be able to develop that clutch gene the way you did?
I think it's just it's confidence. It's just, I knew that at the end of the game, some guys have a tendency to kind of hide from the spotlight.
Yep.
And I just never wanted to be that guy. I just, again, I think I had the courage to take the shot. I wanted to be that guy. But with that comes, not everybody wants that, because there's a chance that you can get it and you can miss the shot, or you can miss the pass or what have you. So, when I talk to young guys all the time, I'm saying, have the courage to be successful. It takes courage, man, to try to hit the winning shot. It takes courage to go for your goals, whatever it is. And I just always had it. And maybe the confidence that I had in myself from all I think I earned that confidence by all the work I put in.
Yep.
Because I knew that, I can make that shot because I made it 1,000 times in my head, or in the backyard, or in the gym, because I had that repetition in my head that I gave myself that confidence to do that. So, confidence is just working at your craft, man, and being confident and working at your craft enough that you have confidence to step up when the time calls for it. And I always have never been afraid of that.
You play in Venezuela for 5 years professionally, and no surprise, you lead the league in scoring 2 of those 5 years.
Yeah.
And then you also played a little bit in Germany and Hong Kong. What was the experience like playing that kind of basketball?
Well, it's just totally different. South America was really fun. It was a great experience. I still have friends in Venezuela that I talk to. They even talked to me about possibly becoming a naturalized citizen.
Really?
Yeah, because I really played well down there because I had nothing else. I couldn't speak the language. I didn't like the food. All I wanted to do was practice. It was my first year. I just was like, I was homesick. It was just a totally different deal. I'm born and raised in Cincinnati. The first night I fly I get a call. I'm playing for Marathon Oil. Marathon Oil is a team made up of college players that are trying to get overseas, and they play a college schedule. So I'm playing for Marathon Oil after I get out of Xavier. But it was before the CBA season started.
Right.
And I get a call from a guy in Louisiana, say, "Hey, you want to play in Venezuela?" I'm like, I don't even know where the hell Venezuela is. So I get my map out. I'm like, okay, all right, there's in South America. So we negotiate a little deal. I go down there sight unseen. I don't know what to expect.
Wow.
So I get down there and I fly into Caracas. Now, Caracas is like New York City of Venezuela. 8 million people stacked on top of each other, crime. It was hot. I got off the plane, and all I know is I got to look for this guy named Gustavo. I don't know what Gustavo looks like. I don't know if he knew what I look like. I had a Cincinnati Reds hat on, and it was late, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, what in the hell have I done? All of a sudden I got paranoid. If this guy Gustavo is not there, what am I going to do? I don't know. So anyway, he sees me. We make eye connection. I said, Gustavo? He says, Larkin? I said, yeah. So he takes me to this hotel right next to the airport, because I ended up, my eventual destination was Margarita Island. That's where I played at. It was the vacation spot of the country, which was beautiful. But I got to Caracas so late that I couldn't catch a flight the next day. So I had to stay in the hotel next to the airport and then get up and catch a flight the next day.
Sure.
Well, anyway, that night, the hotel next to this busy airport, you could imagine, 1 star, it was -8 stars, bro. It was like, we knock on the door. We pull up to this building. He knocks on the door. This eye slit opens up, and then they blah, 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 blah. I'm looking at this. I'm like, well, what are we doing here? Oh, this is a hotel. I'm like, what? This don't look like no hotel. This is the hood with some kind of craziness going on. He takes me to the room, David. I get in the room. I'm like shocked. I'm looking around like, there's not even a bathroom in here. Bathroom was down the hall. It must have been $5 a night hotel, right? So he leaves. He says, I'll be back in the morning. I'm going to take you to Margarita Island where you're eventually going to be going. I said, okay. He leaves. I push the dresser in front of my door. I get on the bed, all my clothes, and just said, in the morning, when he comes to get me, I'm going to say, just take me back to the hotel. To the airport, and I'm going home. This is not going to work. I live. He was like, no, take it easy. Take it easy. This is a very bad place. I'm like, well, what you got me staying here for then? This is terrible. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, just take me home because I don't need to play basketball here this bad. I can't live like this. No, take it easy. Take it easy. So we ended up, we get on the plane. We go to Margarita Island, which was beautiful. You know, it was on the beach. You know, I had a car. I just hung around and played basketball and stayed on the beach. It was a wonderful experience, but it ended up really, really tough. It started out really tough, ended up really great. So, the owner came to Cincinnati for my wedding later on, and I had a tremendous experience with them. Yes, they did. So it was great. Venezuela was great. Hong Kong was interesting. I'd never seen meat. People laying meat out on the concrete and actually people buying it. I don't know what kind of meat it was. It was dog or whatever, but that was interesting. Germany was great, and but I think Venezuela was kind of my best experience because I have some lifelong friendships from my time in Venezuela. Well,
you also took student athletes seriously. You know, it wasn't just athlete; it was student. You got a highly valued degree from Xavier, and you've adopted it into your business life. And tell us what you're doing from a business standpoint, as well as an outstanding commentator for Xavier basketball. 20 years, right? 20 years of Xavier.
Yeah, I just finished my 22nd year. I'm an old dude, man. Time flies, man.
Telling you.
Yeah, I know you know about that.
Yeah.
After I got out of Xavier, played overseas for a couple years, and my dad, when I first got out, said, "You think you should probably go back and get a master's degree?" I'm like, "No, I'm good. No more school for me. I'm done." But after I got out and I thought about it, and Xavier was nice enough to extend an offer to me that I got an assistantship and got it paid for. So I took a year off of playing basketball to get my master's degree in finance, and have been able to turn that into a successful financial advising career. I've had a securities license for 29 years now, and it's been a real blessing in a successful endeavor. I guess, and then relative to broadcasting, I just finished my 22nd year of broadcasting with Joe Sunderman, who's one of the best men I've ever known. He's like a brother to me. We both love Xavier. I never really knew what Joe did. I mean, Joe's been broadcasting for 40-something years. So he was broadcasting when I was playing. And I really Joe's kind of quiet.
Right.
And when we were playing, I knew he would travel with us. And I'm like, what is this big, tall dude doing? He had to have played. And I really never talked to him because when I was playing, I mean, I had to play, get my studies, and that was it. I really didn't do a lot of socializing, especially with, guys who were traveling with us.
Sure.
So him and Andy McWilliams would travel with us, and I didn't know exactly what they did until I do know that when I was playing, my parents used to talk about Joe Sunderman and Andy McWilliams and how much they loved them and how much they appreciated some of the things that they said about me when I was playing, so much that my senior year, my parents had me get a plaque of appreciation for Andy McWilliams for all the positive things he said about me during my career.
Great.
Which was really cool. I love Andy Mack. I still play golf with him all the time. I call him the surgeon boy because he around the green boy. There's nobody better. But anyway, but Joe, again, he's like a brother to me. He loves. We've got a unique perspective in that we've seen Xavier from when Joe played back in the late 70s to when I played in the 80s, to know what Xavier was like before they even got into a league when Joe played, to me when I played in the MCC, to the A-10, to the Big East, and to see the growth of the university and the basketball program. It's so satisfying to see how far they've come, being part of that Xavier family again and broadcasting games. It's amazing. Joe and I we just kick ourselves and be like, man, it's really neat to see how far Xavier has come, because they always used to be, when we first started, we were like Xavier of Ohio,
Right.
And now there's Xavier in the Big East, and one of the top programs in the country. And, we both cut us open. We bleed blue. We enjoy doing the games. That's one of my longest relationships I have is with Joe. And you know about having a broadcast partner,
Yep.
David, because you do such a tremendous job with the Bengals. But it really helps, I think, when you like your partner. And, Joe's like family to me. And, I don't know a guy who knows basketball better than Joe. There are things that he sees that I'm like, man, I didn't see that. And, he's got twice as many years under his belt broadcasting that I do, and I've got 20. So it helps, again, to really like the guy that you're working with. And I just love Joe he's like a family member to me. We go on vacations together, been as kids, known his kids ever since they were young. Now his kids have kids, and it's just been a wonderful relationship, the entire Xavier experience.
Yeah, you're right though. There's nothing better when you're in it's tight quarters sometimes in broadcast booths, and it's good when you're friends. There's no
Yes.
that makes the whole deal a lot easier. And you guys are great. It's a great listen. I listen to you guys all the time, and you can tell that there's a relationship beyond just calling a basketball game between you two guys.
Yes, definitely.
So what about Coach Steele? How do you feel the current Xavier basketball program is what kind of footing are they on? What are you looking for?
Well, I think Travis Steele was the right man for the job for Xavier. He's had going into his fourth year, Xavier's had a formula for success. Right. And that's, when a head coach leaves, it's kind of almost been like a next man up mentality. When Thad Matta left, Sean Miller was the assistant coach, assumed the head coaching responsibilities. Then when Sean leaves, it's Chris Mack. Right. Chris gets it to another level. And then now Chris leaves, and now it's Travis Steele. So the formula has worked. It's been amazing how Xavier's been able to be so successful over different coaches, different athletic directors. I think right now the Xavier job is harder than it's ever been. When Xavier was in different conferences, when Xavier was in the Atlantic 10, Xavier would get the best players in the conference every year, because Xavier would not lose recruiting battles to some of these other schools in the A-10. That is not the case here in the Big East. The Xavier job is a lot different now. It's tougher. It's one of the Power 5 conferences in the country. So the competition is stiffer. And I think the Xavier administration has done a great job giving Travis what he needs relative to support, relative to the facilities, relative to how the accommodations, how they travel to the Cintas Center. It's state of the art. And I think Travis is the guy. I think they're going to get back to the NCAA tournament this year. They have their top 7 players returning. Travis, I think one of his strengths is being able to connect with people. And being able to connect leads to recruiting. You have to have the players. You have to be able to manage those personalities. And I think Travis does that better than any coach. Better than any coach I've ever met, is being able to connect with people And I think we're going to see the results everyone wants to see this year. And I think they're going back to the NCAA tournament. And I think the sky's the limit for Travis.
Yeah, you hit on a point in my mind that is key. Almost every successful person, whatever endeavor it is, they have people skills, man. I mean, bottom line, you have to have people skills. That's first and foremost. Whatever you're selling, you got to sell yourself first. You know, I mean, that's the nature of the beast.
Yep.
Well, I can't thank you enough. I mean, you are what I look at as when I'm talking about in the trenches. It's okay. Cincinnati, born and bred, that has, a Cincinnati kid through and through, and is just a great representative for the city of Cincinnati. And I can't think of anyone any better than Byron Larkin, man. You are special.
Thank you, David. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the time. Thanks for thinking out of me, and I appreciate it, man.
Keep doing what you're doing, my man.
All right, David. Thank you, buddy.
Great one.
All right.
Hi, Dave Lapham here. Have you heard about In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, presented by First Star Logistics? Catch new episodes from the world of sports and broadcasting. Search for In the Trenches with Dave Lapham on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.